So the Arminian type folks, the free will people,
Yeah,
they're
those
really
fellows.
it's a knee-jerk reaction to Calvinism to say, they can see they don't agree that God foreordains people, even though it's plain in Scripture.
Yeah.
So I think their motivation is that they're trying to relieve God of responsibility for sending people to hell. That's the default doctrine of both of these schools of thought, is that there's going to be a majority of mankind that's going to spend it in hell. And here's the question.
Yeah.
Are you going to hold God responsible for that and at least believe these verses that talk about predestination? Or are you going to ignore the verses that teach of predestination and relieve God of the responsibility and give it to man? Both of those are pretty poor choices, I would say. But thank the Arminians, their preferred doctrine was well, listen, I'm going to ask you a question. If God's not responsible, then what would he be? What's the opposite of responsible?
Irresponsible.
Yeah. God is not responsible. All right. Now we're back to being Calvinists. Well, if God's responsible, then okay, he's responsible for calling you. But I still have that nagging, irritating thought of those poor people he doesn't call. I come back to the question I asked, what about those people that he does not call now? We're going to get to that. The Arminians say, if you go to hell, it's your own fault. That's their good news.
Nice.
If you go to hell, it's your own fault. And yet they'll whitewash it and say, well, it's not my credit. It's all of God. Jesus saves me.
How can you say
Jesus
it's all of
saves
God?
me.
How can Jesus save you if you did it?
Because it's
Give me a
hypocrisy.
break.
No, that's what I'm talking about. It's total hypocrisy. It's a bogus gospel. It's a non-gospel, but
Right.
it's the gospel that most people believe. It's been passed down to the present day. It's been whitewashed with the paint of Jesus Christ saved, and it's preached as truth in almost every Christian church in America. It even makes some people want to wear fancy robes.
Ugh.
Oh, I know. And sing gospel songs. I don't know. But to me, if you're going to believe that if you go to hell, it's your fault, and that's what most people say. If you go to hell, it's your fault, right? That's the whole free will teaching. This has a sinister side effect, as if that doctrine's not sinister enough. But the side effect is that if you go to heaven, it's ultimately to your credit. It has to. You can't have it both ways.
Every drug has a side effect.
Yeah. If it's that guy's fault, he's
Yeah.
going to hell, it can't be otherwise that it's my credit. Even though I whitewash it and act all humble about it and say, oh, it's nothing of myself. BS. It is of yourself. You're just whitewashing it. And that's a dirty side effect. I really can't stand it, but there's no way to get around it. If going to hell is somebody's fault, how can staying out of it be anything but one's credit? If I can be stubborn enough to lose my salvation or never gain it in the first place, it's self-evident that there's something I can do. I can be savvy enough to either obtain my salvation or obtain it and keep it. And some people even believe that. Well, they say, well, God gives you your salvation, but you have to keep it going. You have to be good because you can lose it. And all this, as you say, it's looking inward, looking inward, looking inward. And this is the reason most Christians, they can't help sticking their noses up in the air, at least a little bit. That's why the world looks at them and goes, you pack of hypocrites. Oh, it's not of myself, but you can see the nose is at a 10-degree angle up in the air. You can't help it if you think that you made this decision that is going to determine where you're going to be for eternity. And this little song and dance of blaming others without crediting yourself, it's known as hypocrisy.
Yeah, that's right.
You got anything to say about that?
No, I think you said it well enough.
I just wish these things were called for what they are. That's why in my book, the really bad thing about free will...
Let me pitch it for you. Let me do it for you.
All right.
You all need to get a copy of Martin Zender's book, The Really Bad Thing About Free Will. And for you new listeners out there on our new stations, we joined the last week or two, get a copy of all his books, actually. But this one here on free will covers this topic very well. And it's a short book, easy read. Anything you want to know about this topic is found in this very short, easy-to-read book. And I think that if you don't understand this topic properly, you're going to have a skewed version of God, and you're also going to have a skewed version of yourself. And there's nothing worse than having a too high of an opinion of yourself and a too low opinion of God.
Amen.
And so if you do that, and the free will doctrine is, some people think it's a side issue that it shouldn't be discussed. Well, I think it's a major issue, because your view of free will determine your view of God and your view of man. And so, like Martin, you said a couple shows ago, we're here to honor God and give people a correct view of God and put God in his proper place as God, the subjector of all things. And I think your book is going to cover that topic quite well. So, by the way, here's this challenge. The first person in Pittsburgh to call me, and the first person in Wilkes-Barre or Scranton to call me, and the first person in Omaha or Lincoln to call me, and the first person in Albuquerque to call me, in each of those cities. First person to call me at 847-312-4676 gets a free copy of Zender's book, The Really Bad Thing About Free Will. So again, 847-312-4676. Operators are standing by. You get a free copy of Free Will.
That was good.
You like that?
You didn't talk about my cute little satirical cartoons in here.
Oh, there's a lot of
now,
cartoons.
I know we talk fast on this show, and sometimes we just lay it out there. And once again, these shows are archived at martinzender.com. So if you're listening in your car, you're going, they're going too fast. I didn't catch that. Go to martinzender.com. You can hear all the shows archived there.
Yeah. Or if you want to hear us for a lot longer time, you can help support it. The program will get on a longer slot. How about that?
How about that? I got this cartoon in here of modern-day Calvinists. I got this man and a woman, they're elderly, they're sitting at a table, and they're toasting each other, and they're saying, oh, well. They're smiling. That's the oh, well creed of Calvinism, you know.